told some kid, I said, look, I've been taking martial arts for more than 50 years. I am either Mr. Attorney, lawyer, doctor, or judge to you. Now, I've paid my dues, you haven't. And I don't give a doggone, and I use a little bit firmer language, about whether your generation thinks that everybody is everybody else's peer when it comes to what you've done when you ain't done nothing.
Hey fam, give me just a second. I gotta ask you guys a question. So, I do some promotion and stuff before I post on YouTube, right? Okay, so I got some folks. Don't support me. I don't care. Don't hit a like button. Don't donate. Don't share. Don't tell a friend who will tell a friend. None of that. But then have the audacity to get in your comment section and express themselves, telling everybody how they don't like you, they don't like your voice, they don't like this, they don't like that. The audacity of it all. See, I think there should be a point in time when YouTube allows us to do opposite of what Michelle said. See, when people go low, it's not my option to go high. I think we need to meet people where they are, and to do that, we have to step outside of the English language and use a few choice words. Y'all get what I'm saying? Now, forgive me for those of you who have absolutely nothing to do with
Valerie.
But I had to say this because enough is enough. See, I know there would come a point in time when I would need this video, so I'm going to play it now and then I'm going to get back to business. So forgive me, guys, for those of you who don't have nothing to do with this.
You want to know why strong people don't ask for help? Because people are disingenuous. That's why. They cannot wait for the opportunity to throw some back up in your face. Even if they don't come out and say, I helped you do this and I helped you do that. You got to learn how to read between the lines because they say a lot of slick. You know what I'm saying? Even if they helped you carry one brick after you done carried 100 bricks, when they tell the story, they're going to make it seem like they poured the cement and laid the foundation for your entire existence. You wouldn't even have your emotional stability or sanity if it wasn't for them. Okay? Let me hit y'all with a headliner. I am not the same person I used to be.
All right, so now that I got that off my chest, out here acting like I ain't got no home training. Whew. All right, so let's get into the story. Look, I'm not trying to make excuses for these celebrities, but if my little comment section could get me all flustered, I can imagine the demands of a larger audience. I'm sure that's why a lot of these celebrities be wilding out.
Whatever happened to Shan Kingston, the teenager who was one of the most famous music artists back then, who sang this song which has over 1 billion views? Shan Kingston had always lived a dark life, where when he was 11, he was charged with breaking and entering and had to spend 3 weeks in jail. Not only that, he would also end up living alone in a car after his mother got arrested for identity theft. And although he was set out for a dark future, he somehow managed to turn his life around by putting out music on the internet, where not long after, he was discovered by a producer and got signed. And at the age of only 16, Shan managed to become worldwide famous when his song Beautiful Girls went viral. Soon, he started collaborating with famous artists and became one of the most famous teens in the world.
Shan Kingston was arguably the king of music in the late 2000s. He gave back-to-back hit tracks and everyone loved him for it. He became a household name and was making his dream a huge reality until everything changed. After making a full recovery, Shan tried to move on with his life by focusing on doing what he knows how to do best, making music from the heart. Shan may have tried moving on and forgetting what had happened to him, but the cops definitely didn't. A few months after Shan's horrible accident, he was charged by the Miami police for careless operation in an accident. The Miami police didn't believe that Shan's accident was just a horrible coincidence. No, they believed that it was caused by Shan's carelessness. According to the report filed by them, Shan's inexperience and inattention was what caused him to crash the new jet ski. Apparently, Shan had simultaneously turned and released his jet ski's throttle, and that's what made him lose control and crash it. And according to the police, all of this happened just because Shan was a beginner. And if he had taken proper jet skiing classes, he wouldn't have had the accident in the first place. Thankfully, they only decided to fine Shan $180 for his mistake. After his jet skiing accident, Shan was back to releasing music and touring. In other words, everything was kind of back to normal for him. But being in the spotlight can have its disadvantages, and one of those is the fact that you can never stay too far away from trouble. Apparently, in June of 2016, while on a night out in a club, from the reports he made, he had right around $300,000 worth of jewelry stolen from him on that very day. What was just supposed to be a night out turned into a major battle between the both of them and Meek Mill. Apparently, Meek Mill was also at the same club with Shan that very day. And allegedly, he either told the cops, Shan, or even both about the involvement of guys from the game's crew. This led to a major online battle between the three music stars. Shan made a shout out to Meek, encouraging him to keep his head up despite everything that was being thrown his way. And he also claimed that Meek never told him anything about what had happened to him that day at the club. Shan's response obviously came as a way of encouragement for Meek Mill, but the game definitely didn't see it that way. Since the incident with the game, Shan has tried to stay away from trouble, but that hasn't worked out very well for him.
My client has a $150,000 television and sound system that's in there. There's also about $1 million worth of watches that are in there. There's an $80,000 custom bed that was ordered. He's got basically a script. He says that he works with Justin Bieber, and that he obviously puts on a big show here. This is a rental house. He doesn't own it. And he lures people using his celebrity into having them release things without him paying for it, and then he simply never pays.
Card was inside the house with his clients as they disassembled the entertainment system.
Lots of jewelry in there. Lots of jewelry still missing. I'm getting text messages from a jeweler in Beverly Hills now. They're out $1 million for Shan also.
Anybody say anything about whether he would be arrested or not?
There's a warrant out for his arrest. LAPD is actively pursuing him right now.
Kingston is in California right now. He posted this on Instagram. People love negative energy. I am good, and so is my mother. My lawyers are handling everything as we speak.
All right, so clearly I was pretty shocked too. This was right after Shan Kingston and his mother Janice Turner both faced a federal judge for their arraignment. Mom was skipping and jumping, flipping the bird over and over, both of them formally pleading not guilty in court to the federal charges against them of wire fraud. Then they requested a jury trial. They asked the government to turn over all evidence that can help them out in their case.
Fast forward, news travels fast, so you guys know what's going on. But just in case you didn't, here's a little recap.
So the feds say that Shan Kingston would reach out to vendors using direct messaging on Instagram and other social media platforms to buy vehicles, jewelry, and other goods and services. Once those vendors and Shan Kingston would agree upon the terms of the purchase, he and his mom would move the conversation to text message to confirm the timing of the delivery, the installation, payment, all that kind of stuff. At that point, Shan Kingston would use his celebrity status to persuade the vendors and convince them to deliver these goods or services before he actually paid them. From there, Kingston and his mom would send fake receipts via text messages, making it look like they had transferred or initiated a transfer, when in actuality, they never did. At that point, Kingston and his mom would either discontinue communication with the vendors or claim that additional payments were on the way, and again, never actually sending anything. So there's a chart that really details Shan Kingston and his mom. First is on May 15, 2023. Text messages sent with a fake receipt claiming that they transferred $53,000 over to whoever this vendor was for the purchase of a vehicle. 5 months later, October 24th, 2003, a text message is sent in the amount of $285,000 for the purchase of a watch. November 21st, 2023, a text is sent for over $159,000 for the purchase of another vehicle. January 15th, 2024, $40,000 for the purchase of some AV electronic equipment. And then the final text is sent on March 14th, 2024, $480,000 for the purchase of 2 watches.
And again, these receipts that they're sending are actually fake because they never really sent any money to anybody, even though they had received these cars and watches and jewelry and all of that.
If convicted, Shan Kingston and his mom each face up to 20 years in prison on each count.
Don't think that hip-hop is going to pay your bills when you get older, all right? It's not.
Valerie, focus us back. And we are digressing.
I know of Bambaataa. I've been in his presence 1 or 2, 3 times in my life. You know what I'm saying? And when I see him, hey, Shan, how you doing? Because, you know, he knows. But that right there is that's not cool.
All right, guys, so this is where the vodcast, video podcast, gets a little tricky because certain words trigger certain things, and I'm going to have to do a part 1 and a part 2, so bear with me. Here's part 1. Judge Joe Brown, welcome to the show.
Brown, how are you, brother?
Yeah, how you doing? I've been here from the beginning today.
Yeah, you had to remand me and whatnot. That's what you had to see.
No, I don't do that. And when I did do that, I was doing it in the sense of being the village chieftain. If the village gets anywhere, it has to have order and respect for itself. That's all I was doing. I saw.
Well, I just have to say to you, Judge Joe, that from looking from the end that I appreciated what you did and how you did it, and the way you were a judge on the bench, or however it is now, you're a judge. I love the way you did it. You didn't embarrass people. You gave them what they needed. You told them what they needed to hear, but you didn't embarrass them like some other people that I could mention, which I'm not.
You mean
would
Judy?
call them.
No,
not Judy. No, what's his name? Always calling somebody a crap. Y'all crap.
Mathis was, and to show you the integrity quotient, he says he could not help getting in because he had to. But as soon as his mother got sick, he decided he was going to get out. Well, if you can decide to get out because your mama got sick, you could have decided not to get in. So
true indeed.
I'll give you this. One of the greatest honors a lawyer can have is to address the U.S. Supreme Court. We both, along with Judge Napolitano, he's on CNN now, or Fox rather now, got an invitation to address the Second Circuit. The Second Judicial. Yeah, Napolitano.
I think he's got the court TV. I watch court TV like it's my show to watch.
Yeah, but it doesn't make any difference what he's doing now. I'm just saying at the time, all 3 of us got an invitation to speak to the Second Circuit Judicial Conference. That includes the Supreme Court. There are 5 members of the Supreme Court in the audience, and we are supposed to be putting on a 2-hour-long lecture to them about cameras in the courtroom and the popular perception of the courts as we saw it from having a greater exposure than the typical federal judge did. Well, Mathis declined to show up and said he was working on a gospel show. They badmouthed him so bad for about 5 minutes, talking about this is just typical. You're going to deal with a gospel show, and you missed the opportunity to talk to all of these D.C. appellate judges and 5 members of the U.S. Supreme Court. Like he's going to be a professional singer.
Yeah.
You know, and they didn't like Judy either. They said Judy was an embarrassment to the legal profession because what you see shows a lack of what they call judicial temperament and appropriate conduct. See, Judy married a guy named Shan, and she helped send him through law school. She had 3 children, and as soon as she had the 3rd, she went into law school. So she graduated at 29 from law school. She took the bar, and while she was awaiting the results, she turned 30. So when she gets out, she's been practicing, trying to work as a lawyer for 4 months. Mayor Koch in New York got 4 domestic court slots available to him, so he decided to select a young female lawyer. And that
so she just got ushered in, is what you're saying. She just got ushered in.
As a judge, right out of law school. She never had a trial. She never had an appeal. She never had a bench trial. Never had an argument, never had a motion, and hardly been interviewing any clientele. So when she started as a judge over this special domestic court, lawyers weren't allowed to practice. If somebody went representing themselves and did not like what happened, their appeal was to another court where it was tried all over again, and they could have a lawyer. So late in her career, lawyers got allowed to practice in front of her, and they did not like what she was doing. She had not seen how it works, and she liked Jack Daniels, but she's only like 4 feet 6 inches tall and maybe 80 pounds. And she could sniff the stuff, and she'd sit at the table at these affairs. All of us worked for the same entity. It was me, her, Oprah Winfrey, and Dr. Phil. And we wound up with CBS and a special unit. She'd sit there with her husband and make him go put her panties on, you know, and act like that she was, you know, this kind of thing. And she would lament about New York lawyers didn't have respect for her, but now that she had what she had, she stands on her pocketbook and she's 7 feet tall. They still talked about her, about lack of judicial temperament. And they loved her in Hollywood because she's a man-hater, which is part of their agenda, which is the down manhood. And Oprah was part of that too. And I'll talk about it because they brought in a guy
and
named
that's what
Roger
I like
King.
about you. That is one thing that I'm
Let me
saying
tell
I
you
like
something.
about you.
Oprah's supposed to be the superstar, right? And so is Dr. Phil, and so is Judy. Well, Joe Brown was in the same unit, and the guy that was running the unit was a guy named Roger King. He came in and said to me one day, I don't like what they're doing to you. They're trying to rank you out. Why? So we talked about it. Roger King wasn't a typical Hollywood guy. He looked like an all-pro defensive tackle, and he played football. A straight-up guy. So he said, I'm going to stop this mess. So what happened is it wound up the last several years under him. I beat Oprah in the ratings every week. I beat Phil in the ratings every week. And I was stepping on Judy's heels. But every time I would catch up and pass her, CBS management would get Nielsen to change her rating scheme so she could stay ahead.
That's the usual thing they do to us. So we used to it. We know what it is.
I was either the number one or number two syndicated show. I mean, I was beating the prime time folk. And in Southeast United States, they played me in prime time 9, 10, and 11 on an hour format instead of a half hour one. So I was beating all of them.
But you're still on TV now. I see you on the 1-800-WIN-WIN commercials.
Yeah.
I see you on.
Yeah, well, you know, I do that. That's something I do on the side. They've got Shan.
No, that's hey, a judge. All money is good if it's gonna pay a bill.
Yeah. Well, you know
that's how it works. No, well, matter of fact, let me not say that. Not all money is good.
Not all money.
Depending on how you get it.
Selling. That's Market Masters. They got Shatner, you know, Captain Kirk doing stuff too, and some other people. But it is what it is. But you see, they did not want a black man, and I had fight after fight with them because I would not buy into that.
I love this guy. I love this judge here.
See, I love it. My opinion about it is like this. See, it's a setup, and they do that kind of stuff. And it's thick. And it's a case of everybody's got his rights, and all are supposed to be equal. But like Orwell said or wrote in his book, Animal Farm, all of the animals in the barnyard are supposedly equal, but some, the pigs, are more equal than others.
As not call us. I mean, I get kicked off of Twitter. I get kicked off of Facebook. I get kicked off of things because I can't hold my mouth. She said I'm very transparent. I'll say something in regards to that, Nick. So and so. What am I saying that's wrong?
Yeah, you know,
if you're ashamed of being what you are, then don't be that. You already know that what you are comes along with stereotype and criticism.
Well, wait a minute. You remember, wait, you've been in this industry. You remember when back in the 60s, I don't know how old you are, but back in the 60s, back in the 50s, black folk became aware of the fact of how ashamed we were of ourselves. So we came up with a remedy. And
which we need to come up with again in this day and age, because nowadays they only scream I'm black.
Yeah, well, we used to wear natural hair, afros. Now they call natural hair 5 pounds of some Koreans of hair woven in your head. But that, you know,
But that's
a little
okay, because
crazy.
when their edges is all the way back in the middle by their ear, they done figured out it's too late now. You can't get those edges back. Keep putting that Korean hair in your head.
I ran into a woman hollering about for a natural. I said, "Is you wearing it like that?" I said, "Well, when's the last time you combed it? 2 weeks ago. What's that got to do with it? You got bed lint in your head. You can. I mean, I'll be honest with you, lady. I can smell you from here. When's the last time you washed it? 2 months ago. What's that got to do with anything? In Africa,
exactly. And this is one of the reasons why I loved watching your show, because you're so give it to you politely. You don't even have to give a profane word. You can tell somebody in a nice, calm manner about themselves and make them feel it.
Well, you know,
that was one thing I noticed about you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Let me touch something that, since I try to bring this up as often as I can.
You see the same thing you said they tried to do to you? That's what they're doing with these artists nowadays.
Okay. About 10 years ago, 12 years ago, Boondocks. It's a brother that does it. And they even made a cartoon out of it. Young kid with a big fro, and he's always getting caught up.
I know it well.
Yeah. Okay. One of them was he is going to go help out this rap star that he's a fan of, because they down in my brother. You know, they trying to move on him. So he's going to go take matters in his own hands to go help this guy. Well, to make a long story short, he winds up in a room with this guy. And the persons that he's trying to protect him from, like he's going to protect them as a child. But so the guy that's leading them comes over, and what happens, he says, "Baby, you know we were in love when we were doing time." And his granddad had been telling him to chill, but he didn't. See, they peeped that long time ago.
Oh, yeah. And they've been moving it into our community. They're trying to take in. We know what's happening.
Look what they did with Blade.
Hey, Judge, before you make that statement, can I add another person, 337-936, to the conversation, please? Is that okay?
Sure. Let me tune in on the Empire thing, right? The Empire, right? Sir. They wanted me to. Their people came at me and said, "Shan, we want to use you on the show," like they use business, and they just changed their mind. And I'm glad you changed your mind, because some things, like I say, I would have do for the money, but not that.
It had nothing to do with his compensation for Empire. Actually, he's rather low paid. Everybody talks about, high paid. He isn't making but what? I remember a SAG after, and where I brought in the income at the top of the heap, they said I was the second highest paid person in syndicated TV behind Judge Judy. Okay, maybe yes, maybe no. But on my income level, I'm looking at him as a peasant, because he got a total. Got $680,000. You're a peasant in Hollywood if you're getting $680,000.
You're a judge. You know they could protect their First Amendment rights, their second, third, fourth, fifth. Do what you want to do. As long as you don't violate the law, you good.
But see, the point I'm making is they can do what they want to do in their own bedrooms. That's their own.
I'm sorry, bro. I thought I could go 30 minutes, but I could not. This show was 2.5 hours long. Too many words, too many edits, too many this, too many that. They talked past, present, and future, every job offered. It was like watching or listening to two people who have known each other for a lifetime. So I'm going to get back to you guys, okay? There will be a part 2, but I gotta go. I'm exhausted. Talk to you later. Bye.